Here are 3 facts you should know. Number 1, an eagle can fly up to 150 miles per hour. Number 2, there are over 5,000 species of butterflies in the world. Number 3, on September 11th, 2001, terrorists crashed into the World Trade Centers in New York City, killing thousands of people. It was a tragic day in American history. Here are 3 more facts you should know. The tallest building in the world is the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, standing proud at 2,722 feet. Number 2, the tallest mountain in the world is Mount Everest, over 10 times as tall as the Burj Khalifa, standing at a whopping 29,032 feet. Number 3, on August 6, 1945, America dropped the atomic bomb on Japan, killing tens of thousands of civilians. 3 days later, America dropped another atomic bomb on Japan, killing tens of thousands more. So far, these are the only 2 instances that nuclear weapons have been used in combat. Are nuclear weapons cringe? What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Here are 3 more facts that you should know. The longest river in the world is the Nile River, spanning over 4,130 miles. The blue whale is the largest animal on Earth, growing up to 100 feet long and weighing up to 200 tons. And finally, in the mid-1300s, the Black Death, or the bubonic plague, killed between 75 million and 200 million people in Europe, Asia, and North Africa. Is the Black Death the goated pandemic? What do you think? Leave a comment down below. Here are 3 more facts you should know. Number 1, butterflies can taste things with their feet. Number 2, the hottest temperature ever recorded on Earth was 134 degrees Fahrenheit in the appropriately named Death Valley in California. Number 3, in World War II, Unit 731 was a covert biological and chemical warfare research facility operated by the Imperial Japanese Army. The unit conducted horrific human experiments on prisoners, including vivisections without anesthesia, forced injections, and other gruesome procedures. Hundreds of thousands of people, mostly Chinese and Korean civilians, were killed by these horrific Japanese war crimes. Not kawaii. Everybody was kung fu. Here are 3 more facts that you should know. Apples are in the rose family of plants, as well as peaches, plums, cherries, and more. Number 2, elephants can't jump. Just can't do it. They've tried. Can't do it. Number 3, in 2003, President George Bush invaded Iraq. The Bush administration justified the invasion by claiming that they believed that the president of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, was manufacturing weapons of mass destruction. Whether or not it was intentional deception to cover for the Bush administration's ulterior motives, or just pure negligence, about 6,000 Americans died. Between 100,000 and 600,000 Iraqi civilians died. 0 weapons of mass destruction were ever found. And George Bush's friends in the oil industry made billions of dollars. Everybody was kung fu. Here are 3 more facts you need to know. The universe contains over 100 billion galaxies, and each galaxy contains billions of stars. Number 2, the oldest known fossils on Earth date back about 3.7 billion years. Number 3, in the 1950s and 60s, the CIA had a secret program called MK-Ultra, where they experimented with different methods and techniques for mind control. Most famously, these experiments involved dosing participants with LSD, but also included hypnosis, sleep deprivation, sensory deprivation, electroconvulsive shock therapy, as well as physical and psychological torture. CIA Director Richard Helms had most of the documents destroyed, so the full details and true scope of the program may never be known. But I don't know, I mean, if the government really wanted to mind control the population, they'd just put fluoride in the water. Everybody was kung fu fight. Here are 3 more facts you should know. The average person will spend about 6 months of their life waiting at red traffic lights. The national animal of Scotland is the unicorn. On November 22nd, 1963, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated during a parade in Dallas, Texas. The official story claims a man named Lee Harvey Oswald was responsible for the murder. However, one popular alternative theory claims that the CIA orchestrated the assassination against their own nation's president. JFK once said he'd like to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it into the winds, which would understandably make him a target. Currently, nearly 60 years later, there are still classified documents regarding the assassination, which at this point may never be revealed. Maybe it's best that the truth never gets revealed. I mean, It would be a shame if the public stopped trusting in their own government.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Here are 3 more facts you should know. When a penguin wants to propose to another penguin, it searches for the smoothest pebble it can find and presents it as a gift. An electric eel can generate a current of up to 600 volts. From 1975 to 1979, Cambodia was ruled by a communist party called the Khmer Rouge under a leader named Pol Pot. His vision was to create an idyllic communist agrarian society where private property and social classes were abolished and everybody could live in harmony as equals. But that's not what happened. He started by eliminating schools, hospitals, places of worship, and cultural heritage sites. And due to the extreme forced labor, rampant disease, famine, and executions, about 1.5 to 2 million people died, or about 1/4 of Cambodia's population. This is just one of the many examples where a well-intentioned communist ideal quickly devolved into an authoritarian regime. Checkmate, commies.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Here are 3 facts everyone needs to know. Number 1, a year is not actually 365 days. It's actually much closer to 365 1/4 days. That's why we had a leap day every 4 years. Number 2, the world's oldest known recipe is for making beer and dates back to 1800 BCE. That's right, the Sumerians were making craft beers way before it was cool. And number 3, in 2001, The Simpsons creator Matt Groening flew with Jeffrey Epstein on his private jet called the Lolita Express. While flying, he allegedly received a foot massage from Virginia Giuffre. She said his feet were so repulsive that she almost threw up. Now, getting a foot massage is not a crime, but having disgusting, crusty yellow toenails should be. I've always been more of a Family Guy fan myself.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Here are 3 things that they don't want you to know. Number 1, strawberries are the only fruit that wear their seeds on the outside. What do you call a sad strawberry? A blueberry. Number 2, on average, lightning strikes the earth around 8 to 10 million times per day, or about 100 times per second. And number 3, in 1865, the Civil War ended and the 13th Amendment was officially ratified, abolishing slavery in the United States. So now, instead of exploiting African Americans, the rich just exploit, well, everybody.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Here are 3 more facts you should know. Number 1, alligators can't move their tongues. Number 2, avocados used to be called alligator pears, perhaps because of their bumpy skin. And number 3, on September 7th, 1996, the iconic rapper Tupac was shot multiple times in Las Vegas, Nevada. Tupac died 6 days later at the age of 25. However, only 2 months after his death, he released the album The Don Columinati, The 7-Day Theory, under his alter ego Machiavelli, which references the Italian philosopher Machiavelli, who famously wrote about faking one's death for strategic purposes. That, and the album cover depicts Tupac on a cross, referencing Jesus' crucifixion and resurrection. Regardless if Tupac faked his death or not, it wouldn't be the first time that an influential black political activist was killed under mysterious circumstances.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Here are 3 facts about China. Number 1, China is the most populous country in the world, with over 1.4 billion people. Number 2, chopsticks, the iconic Chinese utensil, have been used for over 5,000 years. And number 3, from 1959 to 1961, the Great Chinese Famine occurred under the leadership of Chairman Mao Zedong. The Chinese Communist Party instated unrealistic agricultural quotas. So, to try and meet them, officials enacted forced labor and pseudoscientific farming techniques, including planting crops closer together to try and fit more crops per field, as well as planting seeds too deep to build stronger root systems. Instead of creating a bountiful harvest, this caused entire crops to fail. It's estimated that between 15 million and 55 million people died of starvation. But that's all in the past. Now we have tons of delicious Chinese food in every city in America.
Everybody was.
Here are 3 facts you need to know. Number 1, otters hold hands while sleeping to prevent drifting apart and to maintain their social bonds. Number 2, on January 11th, 2002, the Guantanamo Bay detention camp was established under the Bush administration as a detention center for suspected terrorists in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. These prisoners were subject to waterboarding and other forms of torture. This violation of basic human rights, as well as indefinite imprisonment without trial or due process, undermines undermines the very values that the United States claims to uphold. To this day, Guantanamo Bay remains open and actively holds and tortures its detainees. And number 3, baby elephants suck their trunks for comfort, just like human babies and their thumbs.
Everybody was kung fu fight.
3 facts about Australian animals. Number 1, the quokka, a Western Australian marsupial, always looks like it's smiling. Number 2, after redback spiders mate, the female kills and eats the male as a source of nutrients for her and her offspring. And number 3, in 1932, farmers in Western Australia faced a plague of emus that were threatening to eat all their crops. In an attempt to resolve the issue, the government deployed soldiers armed with machine guns to kill as many emus as possible. The emus evaded the soldiers, scattered quickly when gunshots were fired, and could even survive multiple gunshot wounds. It's estimated that only 986 emus were killed, mostly by this one guy with quite the name. After a series of futile attempts, the government decided to withdraw the military from the conflict. Emus 1, Australian 0.
Everybody was
3 facts about chimpanzees. Number 1, humans share about 98 to 99% of our DNA with chimpanzees, making them our closest living relative. Number 2, like humans, chimpanzees laugh, kiss, and are even ticklish. And number 3, in October of 1995, Sandra Herold adopted a chimp named Travis who was only a few days old. She raised him as a member of her own family, but as he grew older, he grew stronger and more unpredictable. To calm him down, Sandra routinely gave Travis wine and Xanax. On February 16, 2009, Sandra invited a friend over when suddenly Travis attacked her friend, causing severe disfiguration to her face and hands. Overall, the story of Travis is a powerful and heartbreaking narrative that highlights the importance of respecting the natural behaviors and needs of wild animals. If you're gonna keep a chimpanzee as a pet, you must be bananas.
everybody was kung.
3 facts about 2006. Number 1, on November 19th, 2006, the Nintendo Wii was released in the United States. Number 2, on March 21st, 2006, Twitter was founded by Jack Dorsey, Evan Williams, Biz Stone, and Noah Glass. And number 3, on February 11th, 2006, former Vice President Dick Cheney shot someone in the face. Cheney and a few others were out quail hunting on a ranch in Riviera, Texas, when Cheney pulled the trigger of his 28-gauge shotgun and hit Harry Whittington, a 78-year-old lawyer, in the face, torso, and neck. Dick Cheney reportedly never apologized for the incident, but the victim did apologize on live television, saying, "My family and I are deeply sorry for all that Vice President Cheney and his family have had to go through this past week. We send our love and respect to them." Maybe it's Whittington's fault for kinda looking like a quail.
Everybody was kung fu.
Here are 3 facts about money. Number 1, there are over 12 billion $100 bills in circulation, the most out of any banknote. There's so many in circulation, how come I don't have any? Number 2, the US national debt is currently over $32.6 trillion, or nearly $100,000 for every US citizen, even babies. Number 3, the US military budget is over $800 billion, which is disproportionately large compared to other countries. It's literally greater than the next 10 biggest military budgets combined. A reduction in military spending could free up funds for other areas that the US is severely lacking, such as education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Instead, the profitability of the defense sector incentivizes starting wars, continuing wars, and ultimately killing people. So wait a minute, you're telling me there are hundreds of billions of dollars being used around the world to kill people, and I had to eat frozen pizza from a dumpster for dinner last night? It's kinda weird.
Everybody was kung fu.
Here are 3 facts about cats. Number 1, a group of cats is called a clouder, but a group of kittens is called a kindle. Why did the cat sit on the computer? Because it wanted to keep an eye on the mouse. Number 2, cats are crepuscular, meaning they are most active at dawn and dusk. And number 3, on October 30th, 1961, the Soviet Union detonated the Tsar bomba in the Arctic Sea. The hydrogen bomb had a yield of 50 megatons and reportedly shattered windows over 500 miles away. The mushroom cloud was approximately 40 miles high, or 7 times the height of Mount Everest. It was over 3,000 times more powerful than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. Tsar bomba was sort of like the mic drop of the nuclear arms race, except instead of dropping a microphone, they dropped an apocalyptic city-leveling explosion.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
3 3 facts about North Korea. North Korea claims that their dear leader Kim Jong-il was born in an ancient Korean volcano. He was actually born in Russia. Number 2, none of the supreme leaders, Kim Il-sung, Kim Jong-il, or Kim Jong-un, have ever had to use the bathroom ever. Although there are reports that say Kim Jong-un's cars have built-in toilets. Number 3, on February 13th, 2017, Kim Jong-un assassinated his own half-brother Kim Jong-nam at the Kuala Lumpur airport in Malaysia. On December 12th, 2013, Kim Jong-un assassinated his own uncle by firing squad. And on January 2nd, 2016, Kim Jong-un arrested and imprisoned American college student Otto Warmbier. He was tortured so badly that he fell into a vegetative state. Then he was released back to his family in America and died a week later. I think it's fair to say this Kim Jong-un fella is a little rough around the edges.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
Here are 2 facts about puppies. Puppies have an extraordinary sense of smell, which is estimated to be between 10,000 to 100,000 times as strong as humans. Number 2, the term puppy eyes comes from the way puppies look at us with their big, round, innocent eyes. And number 3, the average global temperature is expected to rise by 1.5 degrees Celsius by the year 2030 and 2 degrees Celsius by the year 2049. This will cause the sea level to rise by about 2 meters by the year 2100, swallowing entire coastal cities and forcing millions to flee from their homes. Extreme weather events will ravage the planet. Things like hurricanes, heat waves, droughts, flooding, wildfires, and food shortages. Also, the mass extinctions of innumerable plants and wildlife, especially coral reefs, which are expected to reach near extinction by the year 2050. Global warming must be addressed in order to reduce these apocalyptic consequences. Better start building an ark.
Everybody was kung fu fighting.
You need to know these 3 things. The Earth is round and about 4.5 billion years old, not 5,783. Number 2, Jesus' real name was Yehoshua, which really transliterates to Joshua, but Josh Christ just doesn't have the same ring to it. And number 3, in the late 20th century, thousands of cases surfaced all over the world accusing Catholic priests of sexually abusing children. Instead of reporting abusive priests to the authorities, church officials would just send them away to other churches all over the world. This allowed abusive priests to continue their behavior in new locations, putting even more children at risk. Frankly, I'm shocked that people who espouse the horrors of sodomy and forbidden fruits would commit such acts. The only thing worse than a hypocrite is a child rapist.
Everybody was kung fu.
3 facts about breakfast. Breakfast literally means breaking the fast, because unless you eat in the middle of the night, you are technically fasting while you're asleep. Number 2, the US cereal industry is worth over $25 billion, and the best-selling cereal in 2021 was Cheerios. Somehow Reese's Puffs didn't even crack the top 10. And number 3, the Kellogg Company was founded by Dr. John Harvey Kellogg in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when the religious, holistic health-obsessed doctor invented a breakfast so bland it would discourage people from having sex or masturbating. A few years later, John's brother Will suggested they add sugar to the cornflakes, but John was not into it, probably because he feared the sweetened cornflakes would taste better and make people too horny. So Will started his own rival company that makes the breakfast cereals we know and love today. John also owned a health spa where he would put yogurt up people's butts.
Everybody was kung fu.
3 facts about wrestling. Wrestling is often considered one of the oldest sports in human history, with evidence of its existence dating back to cave paintings from 15,000 years ago. There's just something truly mesmerizing about watching a bunch of oiled up adults in tight singlets throwing each other around like rag dolls. Number 2, before fighting, sumo wrestlers throw salt into the ring as a purification ritual, and they stomp their feet to drive away any evil spirits. And number 3, John DuPont, heir to the DuPont family fortune, established a wrestling training facility on his estate in the 1980s. He invited elite wrestlers, including brothers Mark and Dave Schultz, to train there. However, DuPont's behavior became increasingly erratic, and in 1996, he shot and killed Dave Schultz. The story was adapted into the film Foxcatcher, which explores the complexities of obsession, wealth, and the human psyche. I recommend it. $500 million can buy you a lot of things, except sanity.
Everybody was kung